think with the doctor. Yes, he's got it. Here he comes. Way back the baby to sleep until morning. Ewing. Oh, wow. Oh, he's going to try to get one more shot off the hand. The ball's there. How about that? Steps over Toronto. He thought about three. He'll put up a three.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we get started, on behalf of myself, Jason Calenzo, 3 from Deep, and the whole Boom Broadcasting family, I want to take this time here to send our thoughts and prayers to all those in Texas that have been affected by these catastrophic floods. It is devastating to hear the loss of life, and I want to take a moment of silence, please, to, again, send our thoughts and prayers to all those affected by these floods. Thank you very much. Not an easy transition, but we're going to jump here into the show. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Boom Broadcasting presents 3 from Deep. I'm your host, Jason Calenzo. Welcome to the show. The NBA offseason is in full swing. We got rumors, we got trades, we got signings, we got cats, dogs living together, mass hysteria. Guys, and I cannot talk about all this madness by myself. I need a man. I need a man who is a fan of sport. I need a man who has his finger on the pulse. I need a man who talks about more types of sports than Sean Kemp's got kids. I need to bring in my man, Mr. Podcast Smitty. Shannon Smith, where are you, man? Welcome to the show.
How you doing, my man? It's good to see you. This is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to this, man. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic, man. I am so honored to have you here. So excited to have you here. Again, you are all over the place. You talk about just about every sport that is out there. You got your F1 shirt on, too. I know we just had, the race yesterday here. So I'm blessed to have you on. But, man, the NBA free agency, NBA offseason has not disappointed. Even kind of everybody's calling this a weak offseason, but it has not failed to produce some drama. So we are going to jump into this, man. I like to get into my NBA stuff here. So we're just going to keep this nice and easy. We're going to do a little shoot around right now. So I'm going to throw some stuff at you here. If you are ready for me, I'm going to start passing you the rock. You good?
Oh, let's go, man. I'm ready.
Okay. Let's jump in this shoot around here. First, the LeBron James rumors are swirling. Even after 23 years in the NBA, he still moves the needle. They want to trade him. You're hearing about some different teams, which is really, really weird. He decided to come back for his 23rd year, and now you're hearing all these things that he really doesn't want to stick around with the Lakers. Whether it's true or not, whether it's just, people throwing stuff out there to drum up the excitement. But first question I have for you here, Mr. Smith, is after 23 years, is LeBron James's value still at the top of the market?
Absolutely. I still think it is. LeBron, he's not as old. He's got mileage on him. He's played a lot of basketball for a long time, but yet and still, if you're gonna tell me that LeBron James is not a serviceable player, I hate to break your heart. That's not the case. Whether you are on the Jordan side like you and me are, or whether you're on the side of anyone thinking that, oh yeah, he's older, he's not what he was. Of course he's not what he was, but yet and still, it's not like he can't be a serviceable basketball player. He could go, I'm pretty sure Lakers want to trade him. I'm guarantee you there's teams out there that would willingly take him, that would willingly have him on the squad if they can afford him. So, yeah, there's still a market out there for him. There's still going to be a team that will take a gamble on it. It depends on which team it is. I'm pretty sure LeBron is not going to go to a squad that is going to not contend. He's going to go to a squad that will contend because the Lakers need pieces. The Lakers need future. They need people to play with Luka, and they need people that are going to be willing to play with their newer guys that they've received. So the Lakers have had a quiet offseason, of course. The DeAndre Ayton being added onto the team is probably like the biggest splash that they've had. But still, if they get rid of LeBron, it's going to have to be some pieces or some draft involved, something for their future, someone to trade, someone to play with Luka, someone that is going to complement the Lakers squad that they have now. It's not going to be for just, a pack of bubblegum like Luka got traded for with the Dallas Mavericks. They're going to get something out of him, and they're going to get pieces for the next year. And there are teams that will benefit from a 23-year vet like LeBron.
And that's what I'm curious about too is, he's got the $50+ million contract. So in order to make the numbers work, is there a team out there that is going to leverage their future for a one-year wonder, essentially to rent LeBron James for a year? Is he worth giving up a bunch of stars and a bunch of draft capital for 1 year? So that really, really is curious to me. My other question is why? Why would the Lakers, who essentially want to build a statue of LeBron outside already, why you got Luka Doncic, you have a pretty decent young team. You did sign Ayton, which they needed some desperate help in the middle there. But why would you get rid of your cash cow? Why would you get rid of the guy that is bringing tickets, that's bringing people in the gate? Yes, Luka brings people in the gate, but LeBron puts a little bit of that stank on it. You're talking about the legacy. You're talking about a guy that essentially is making history every night he goes out there. He's only got 49 games to go, and he breaks Robert Parrish's games played record. And he has a no trade clause. So I know he's going to be in control of his future, but why would he pick up his contract, his player option, and then kind of quietly, the Lakers are like, well, we should move you. I'm curious. Why do you think the Lakers are doing this, or why do you think these rumors are even floating around?
Because it's a bluff. I doubt they're going to do it. I seriously doubt it. I think it's a bluff. We've seen this before with LeBron, the narrative of the NBA. He is going to hold on to that. He did that with the decision. He did that when he went to the Lakers. He did that a couple years ago when he was teasing retirement just to get the NBA buzzing, the NBA going. Look, whether you're for or against it, it doesn't matter. He still was able to do it. Lord, he done it with the draft with his son. With last year's draft. Like, last year's draft was not good. And when you have LeBron's son in the draft, of course, they're wanting to know, where's LeBron going to go? But they took advantage of a weak draft. They exploited a weak draft and got ratings off of it, considering the fact of where his son was going. I don't think they're going. LeBron's not going anywhere. I don't think so. It's nice to think it. I doubt it. Until I see it, I'm not going to believe it. No way. You ain't gonna buy me with this. Nice try. You might have got me beforehand with the decision and all that other stuff. You might have got me and everybody else, but not this time.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if the Lakers are taking that Jerry Jones approach, where even if they throw this kind of like fodder out there, and hey, at least they're talking about our team. At least they got the Lakers on their mouth, and it's working. So, but this also brought up another interesting question. You talked about legacy. You talked about narrative. And LeBron James is always going to have to not so much dodge, but talk about the decision going from Cleveland to Miami, back to Cleveland to LA. And if something by some miracle, he ends up changing another jersey, I started thinking about that, because a lot of great players I grew up watching change jerseys too. Maybe not as frequent as this modern NBA, but you look at a Dr. J because of the ABA coming over, and he changed some jerseys a couple times. You look at the great Michael Jordan. I don't even count the Wizards years really as part of it, but it happened. He went to another team. Scottie Pippen went over to the Blazers and finished his career. I'm a huge Patrick Ewing fan. And he played, on the Orlando Magic and changed the jersey too. So, here in the modern era, we got KD, who has, again, he's got more jerseys hanging in his rafters that he switched. KD, Westbrook, Harden. How much in this modern NBA does changing teams and kind of jumping on these new jerseys affect your historic legacy?
It affects it because, especially now with the whole, oh, you had to go to another team to win a title. I think LeBron dodges that because he went back to Cleveland and won a title in Cleveland. I think he dodges that because he went back to his original team and won. And so that to me is something that can be looked at, but yet and still after that, he still left. He still went somewhere else. He went to the Lakers, which everyone saw happening. Everyone saw that. I think, of course, with LeBron, all the stuff that he was doing out there outside of basketball, it makes sense for him to be in Los Angeles, where he is going to be at. It's a business move for him. Everyone knew. And why not? I get that. I understand. But when it comes down to legacy, swapping jerseys three and four times does water it down. And I hate to say that because so many people get used to a player with a city. So many people get used to a player with a certain team or an athlete with a certain team, whether it's individual sport, whether it's team sport. If you're a figurehead of that organization, people are going to recognize you. That. Now, I'm pretty sure that everyone forgot Patrick Ewing played for the Orlando Magic. They remember him as a New York Knick. They remember that guy as a New York Knick. But here's another thing also, too. People, do they remember Kareem when he played with Milwaukee? Exactly. So
he was under a different name too. That's a little different. He was Lou Alcindor. He was Lou Alcindor.
Good point.
These young cats may not understand that.
Oh yeah. Or for example, Wilt Chamberlain. He was a Sixer and then he became a Laker. He was just great everywhere he was. You score 4 points in a game and don't win MVP. Good Lord have mercy. We talked about this already. We talked about that. That's another thing. It's another story for another time. But do people remember that? Because I think people are more, fans as a whole are more inclined with what that player achieved on a team. Now, if you went somewhere and you didn't win, and then you go somewhere else and you don't win, people are going to look at you and say, maybe he's not that great. Or maybe he or she is not that great. Maybe they weren't what they said that they were. If they've had to go to different team, and then they win somewhere else, then I think it depends on more success than anything. I don't think it's a jersey type thing. It's if what you do and what you achieve at that team or with that organization is what's going to do it.
Well, the other thought I had too is, do you think us talking about that, especially the older heads, do you think this is more of a get off my lawn kind of thing when you talk about teams? Because this seems to be a little more modern. Like the last 20 years, changing teams, city loyalty, it only goes so far. But, this is the modern NBA. So the new guys coming up and these new fans that are watching, they're kind of accustomed to the jersey change now. So it might not affect them as much. Do you think it's more of a generational kind of thing? Or is it just is what it is?
If you don't quit looking at my notes for my podcast, man, I swear I was typing that today, getting it ready for tomorrow.
I can see in your soul, brother. I can see in your soul.
But NY, that makes a lot of sense because, I think it's more of a generational thing. There's more money being thrown around. Number one, there's more money being thrown around as opposed to beforehand. But yet and still also to a counter that was the money was always there. Even when we were fans, the money was there, and Mike was digging that money up with how well he was playing. Mike was digging that money up. So with how well he's played, and then other players follow suit, Barkley and Ewing and all those guys, they started following suit. But once again, it goes with one player. And then when the league evolved and other sports evolved as well, too, because you've got these guys, getting paid a lot. And it's a money thing to me, but also too, a lot of these players I don't think are really big on legacy like the players were before. I don't think they were big on legacy. And there's no disrespect to them going out there and getting paid. I ain't mad at that at all, because like we'd be foolish not to take some of that money that these teams are throwing at them. I mean, I would never tell another player to not get paid. That to me is something I would never do. If they're gonna fork over money like that and you don't go, I don't know what to tell you. But
I'd do it. I'd go. What you want?
Right. And there are players that we watched play as well too that did the same thing.
Right.
As well too. They did the same thing. I mean, we can't sit around here and just chunk it up to just generation. I think in this day and time, I don't think legacy is as big as it was from what we've watched with our players that we've seen grow up. I don't think legacy is as big as what the young guys think it is. They're getting paid a lot and they're wanting that money, and that's cool with me. I don't have a problem with it. I have my ideas or my thoughts on it, but I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I just wonder in the next, 10 years, knock on wood, hopefully we're both here. Hopefully we can sit down and have this discussion again here. 10 years, mark the date. We'll check in. Will we discuss LeBron James and some of these other great modern players, Kevin Durant, in the same pantheon as Jordan, as Chamberlain, as Jabbar? Will those guys be lumped in together and we talk about it like we talk about the old time greats, or will we get into the errors thing and just start talking about, well, before this era and before, it's really big when you talk baseball, shout out Chris DeLuca. If you guys aren't watching Boom Broadcasting, the Dugout Debrief, you got to check him out. He does a phenomenal job, but baseball is probably one of the worst culprits of this old school mentality, keeping guys out of the Hall of Fame because of the steroid era, even though at the time what they were doing was technically not illegal because Major League Baseball wanted to sell tickets and they were selling tickets, but that's another discussion. But I wonder, once this gets a little older, once LeBron is actually done playing and a lot of these newer guys are done playing and we get some distance, if they're going to be lumped together like we have discussions, or are we going to have those separate talks? Guys talk about Wilt and Russell and Oscar Robinson because they were in a different generation. We can't talk about them. And then we talk about Jordan and Bird and Magic Johnson. That's another era because it was a different. And then now we're going to talk about the newer guys after 2000. So it's going to be interesting to see how this progresses. But it was very curious for me that LeBron James commits to a year, commits to playing with the Lakers again, and then all of a sudden you start hearing these rumors. Look at all these rumors just rocking around. I'm going to start singing again. But we'll see what happens. I don't think anything's going to happen in the offseason with that. Again, there's a lot of money involved, but don't be surprised a little bit after Christmas, January, February, where teams are jockeying for position. You get a team that's just kind of right on the cusp that has some stock or has some trade value. And if the Lakers aren't doing very well, I could see something going down. So it'd just be interesting to see what happens because as we saw last year, you could wake up to some crazy news. So I'm just waiting to go to sleep and wake up to some crazy news. So, but we're gonna stay in the shoot around a little bit here. I love passing the rock. I think the assist is not celebrated as much as it used to be. So I'm going to throw another assist to you here. We're going to talk about what can Brown do for you. My New York Knicks coach Mike Brown is looking like he's going to be a New York Knick. I haven't seen anything official yet. It's been very hush-hush. We haven't seen any numbers. We haven't seen any years. But the Knicks are close. They did a second interview with him. They interviewed a bunch of other guys. But do you see Mike Brown as kind of a lateral move, an upgrade, or a downgrade compared to Coach Tibbs?
I want to say a lateral move. It's not a bad move, but yet and still, it wasn't like breaking the NBA or anything like that. It's not like that. It's not a bad move. I don't think it is. I think Mike Brown is a very serviceable coach. Do I think it's more of the same for the Knicks? Yes. Because I feel like if you were going to get rid of Tom Thibodeau, I figured it would be for a bigger name coach. But I think the Knicks did this and didn't have a plan B or didn't have a plan of attack. I think it was just get this guy out of here and we'll figure it out. Well, unfortunately, the we'll figure it out part did not come. And so you have to go with a coach like Mike Brown, which is not bad. Once again, and I'm not trashing because he was coach of the year beforehand. He was coach of the year.
Nice.
He's coached big name players. He's coached in big cities. He's coached in the NBA for a long time. He wouldn't be considered an NBA coach or at least have another chance at an NBA team if he was a bad coach. They would never exile him if he was a bad coach. He's going to get a job somewhere.
Right.
But in New York, where basketball is so big, and regardless of what the Knicks have or have not won, the New York area, that New York City area, basketball is king, regardless of what anybody says. And so with a move like this, it's got to be something that is going to please the New York fans because they are big on basketball. Basketball is big for them. I mean, baseball probably is next because, you got the New York Yankees. I get it, but basketball is still big there. So I'm saying lateral.
And I could kind of agree with that. When I first heard the news, I wasn't excited, nor was I disappointed. It was like the Knicks, who knows what they were doing. I saw the writing on the wall. James Dolan is one of the worst NBA owners out there. As a Knicks fan, it pains me to say that. He has done some horrific things with that team, and you could see it on Tibbs' face that I think there was some grumblings, and I had a feeling that this was, regardless the outcome of their year, I think Tibbs was on the hot seat no matter what, just because, again, James Dolan, if you don't do what he wants you to do and you're not his yes man, you're in trouble. We'll see if Mike Brown is like that. I hope not. Look, Mike Brown, I think, is a really, really good coach. Coached in Cleveland, coach of the year in Sacramento, brought them to their first playoffs in I think it was 16 or 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
And 22, 23. He won 3 championships as an assistant coach with Golden State. He won 1 as an assistant with Pop in San Antonio. So he's got some hardware with him. We're just going to be curious to see how that translates to winning. The other question I have is with now Mike Brown as the coach, status quo, because it looks like we've had a few little signings here in New York, but the core is still there. We still have Hart. We still have Karl Anthony Towns. You still got my man Brunson Burner, Jalen Brunson. With the addition of Brown, can you see another 50-win season, or does this team take a step back?
Another 50-win season, I believe. If everything is still intact with what you have now. I really think now with the East kind of having the trouble that they've been having when it comes down to guys being hurt, it does help the New York Knicks. It does. So, I mean, it helps in Orlando. It helps in Atlanta. It helps those teams that were on the cusp of doing things. Boston is without Tatum. Indiana is going to be without Halliburton. And it is still going to be open. But I think the Knicks are still going to be a team that you still have to watch out for. They have a squad still. I like what they have. And I think next year, it won't be an easy road. It won't be easy, of course. But I think the Knicks are still in the hunt. They're still there. Even with the new coach, I think they're still in the hunt. So, yes, they'll be fine.
I'm glad you said that because I think that too. I'm hoping for another 50-win season again because with the East, there's going to be some bubbling up here with Boston kind of really erasing next year and kind of just it looks like they're just going to sleepwalk through next year, unloading some talent. Indiana, same. So it'd be interesting to see what teams bubble up, like a Knicks, like Orlando, like the Atlanta Hawks. Does Cleveland finally take a step forward too? So
yeah, I forgot them.
Yep, you got to throw them in the mix. They're a 60-win team, but do they take a step back? But let's get out of the shoot around here, man. And I'm a big fan of the alley-oop. I love throwing that rock up, guys coming down with it, thunderous dunk. And we're gonna get into a little thunderous talk here. There's a lot of teams right now bubbling up. A lot of teams on the come up next year that are going to want to try for that championship trophy. You talk about Houston with KD, the Knicks, Cleveland, Dallas on the come up, with the Cooper flag. Hopefully all their guys get healthy. Lakers, Nuggets, Wolves, oh my. Throw Orlando in there. But with all these teams working super hard to try to make it, can any of them compete with the Oklahoma City Thunder? They have a stockpile of picks. They have a core three who it looks like they're going to end up probably signing all of them to some longer-term deals. They just signed SGA, but I have a feeling Chet and Williams are not far behind. They have a thunderous home court advantage. That is a rockin' stadium to play in, so they definitely have a nice home court advantage. Can any of these teams compete with Oklahoma City? And do you see this as a thunderous dynasty in the making?
Out of those teams that you've got, I know Houston right now, Houston can compete with them with what they've added on and who they have now. Of course, with KD coming to town is big. The Knicks are going to be tough. The verdict is still out on Dallas, considering the fact of injury and all of that is still out there. Cleveland, I believe, will give a run to the Eastern Conference next year. They're getting everybody back. I know Jalen's got to have his surgery on his toe and all that. Luka and the Lakers is still, depending on what happens with LeBron, I seriously doubt he leaves. But yet and still, think about it, yeah. Like Ant-Man, the Wolves are going to be tough. And the West is going to be very tough. They're going to be tough. As long as there's a Nikola Jokic, as long as this Houston squad is the way that they are, yeah. But as of right now with OKC, they're coming. And I think more than anything, OKC is going to be kind of like how the Spurs were in that 2000s.
Really?
I think that they may not win 3 in a row. They may not even win back-to-back. But they'll probably win 3 out of 4 years, 4 out of 5, 3 of 5 years. I believe that this is not going to be their last championship if everything goes according to what they're setting out to do.
Right.
No, I think that they will be back. I think they've got the league on notice. SGA is playing very good basketball. They've got a good core. Hartenstein, Chet Holmgren. They've got guys like Lou Dort coming off the bench. I think they're gonna be fine. And shout out to their GM. Not winning anything with Harden and Durant and Westbrook, but he built a squad that went to the finals and then turns around and does it again with a younger core and gets it done. So I got to give credit where credit is due to their GM because he built 2 formidable squads. The squad before has got 3 guys that could go to the Hall of Fame. And
right.
Then you turn around and you get a younger core of guys that could be around for years to come. Kudos to them. And a small market on top of that, too. And did it in the draft. That's another thing also, too. Did it in the draft. They didn't go for the free agency. The biggest free agent they got ended up getting all those guys there from a trade and didn't win a daggone thing. Shout out to playoff/podcast P for getting the ring that OKC got without him.
Yeah, yes, Paul George. Yes, he needs to get a ring. Sam Presti, GM at the Oklahoma City Thunder. Yes. Some of the moves he has made, he is definitely top of the mark. The talent he produced and has collected and they're essentially homegrown. I know he got SGA in kind of a trade when he was real young, but this essentially is homegrown talent that they are essentially molding and getting the best out of. I mean, they did not. This championship was not bought, was not traded for, was not piggybacked. Nobody just came over just to win a chip. These guys worked and they earned it. They went through their struggles the year before, 2023, 24, where they kind of were bowed out of the playoffs early. So, yes, Oklahoma City, very impressive with what they're doing. They haven't made a stupid move in a long time, and there's a lot of teams out there that you kind of scratch your head and you go, why? You look at the Suns, you look at some of these other ones, you look at Dallas, and and you just go, what are you guys doing? Like, do you not pay attention to what's going on in the league? And Oklahoma City doesn't care. They are like in a bubble. They are a small market team, but they play big. And I think that is a sign for all smaller market teams. Put yourself in a bubble. Who cares what anybody thinks? You go out there and you make the right moves. You collect assets. You make smart trades, and you homegrown and really develop your talent. And look what has happened. You got SGA, who is, I don't know if he's really top 5 yet, but he's about to crack it. I think next year is really going to say a lot with SGA. If he can crack the top 5 of the best in the world, he's right there on the cusp. But this is development. This is the way. This is the blueprint on how an organization should be ran and has been ran for many years. So shout out. But if you had one dark horse out of teams that are out there that I think can really challenge Oklahoma City, not just in the championship, but as an organization that makes correct moves. Give me another organization out there that kind of is similar to this Oklahoma City Thunder team.
As long as the greatest player in the world is playing on their squad, it's got to be Denver.
Wow, really?
I still think even, as long as Nikola Jokic is upright and walking, I think Denver is just fine. I really think so, because I mean, we've already said it. We've already said it with Nikola Jokic being the greatest player in the world right now as we speak. Honorable mention to Giannis being up there with him as well too. Honorable mention to Giannis, but I would have to say Nikola Jokic being on whatever squad he is on, whether it's Denver or not. Right. I would have to say, as long as he is on that floor upright and walking and in a jersey, whoever's got him is just fine. I mean, Denver played very hard. Like they put OKC in a 7-game series.
Yep.
And so still, even though they were missing one key scorer, they could have won that series. So I'm still sold on Denver. I'm still sold on what Nikola Jokic can do. That man is an incredible player. We already had that discussion of the Jordan rules with the MVP. You take that man off that squad, Denver is nowhere near
garbage. Hot garbage.
They wouldn't have went 7. They wouldn't have went 7 games with OKC. They went 7 games with the Clippers. And the Clippers, they played very, very good and had their guys at the right time. The regular season wasn't so kind to them with injuries, but when they got healthy, they played very, very well. But Denver still was able to get out of there and then go on to the next round.
Right.
And then they meet OKC, and it really looked like OKC had their back to the wall. I mean, Denver just went out there and played that bad game 7, and then OKC went on and won the title. I really think that was what set OKC over by beating that Denver squad. So I'm still saying the Denver Nuggets are still tough. They're still there. Hey, they might be back for the Western Conference Finals next year. I mean, I know that we're high on Houston, and I get it. I know we are. I understand. But yet and still, Denver with Nikola Jokic on that squad, they got to say otherwise. If you get past Denver, cool. But other than that, verdict's still out.
I like that. And I do like Denver. I agree. Nikola Jokic is the best basketball player, pound for pound, the dad bod god on earth right now. He is absolutely amazing. Giannis is up there too. You got to throw Luka up there.
Yep.
A healthy Luka, not fat Luka. We don't
Right.
want not energy drink Luka, but the one squad I want to throw in there that for me, you talk about an organization, not just the squad itself, but the organization, how it's run. And I'm curious to see what happens next year since they've just had kind of a slight regime change, is the San Antonio Spurs.
Oh, yeah.
They are one of those teams, a smaller market team, who has had magnificent success. They had Tim Duncan, probably one of the greatest basketball players ever to play, who I don't think nearly gets enough plug as when you talk about the pantheons of great. He is the big fundamental. He is probably one of the greatest players we've ever seen. Just completely consistent for his whole career. But that San Antonio Spurs organization knows how to draft. They know how to collect capital. They know how to develop their players. You look at a Tony Parker, a Manu Ginobili, guys that come from overseas. Usually that doesn't translate well here in the States, and look at what they did with them. So now you look at that team now with Victor Wembanyama, the Parisian Pillar. I'm still throwing it out there. We got to get him a better nickname. Wemby just doesn't cut it. He's the Parisian Pillar. You got to buff him up a little bit. But to have De'Aaron Fox, you got Castle, the Rookie of the Year. I really believe they are going to get another Rookie of the Year. I think they're going to have 3 in a row because I love Harper a lot. I think him on that squad, everybody healthy, I think that team's going to be dangerous. So San Antonio would be my dark horse organization / team to really compete with the Oklahoma City Thunder. But yes, I think the Thunder are on the cusp of a dynasty. Just the way that organizations run, the way they do business. They don't buy anything. They don't spend frivolously. They make good moves. And they develop. And I think that is so lost in all sports nowadays. You look at football, baseball. We are so quick to pluck these kids at 18 years old and throw them against the wall and go, here, be a poster,
Right.
be that guy, be the next big thing. And again, you don't know what you're doing at 18 years old. You don't know what you're doing at 20 years old or 24 years old. You still have a lot to be developed. And that has a lot to do with the people around you and the organization around you. So, but yeah, don't sleep on OKC. I think this is not a one-hit wonder. No. I think this is for years to come. So let's take a step back. We're going to do a 3-point shot here. My man, Dame Lillard, sitting at home, although he's sitting at home rich because, Milwaukee's paying him $113 million. There's this new provision that you can stretch out guys and pay them over 5 years. So you're talking about $23 million a year to sit at home on your couch. Congratulations, Dame. You got paid, but I hope you get better because I hate seeing Dame Lillard sitting on the sideline next year, resting that Achilles. But probably, I would say midway through the season, you're going to start hearing some things. If he starts working out and getting better, because guys bounce back from these Achilles injuries a lot faster than back in the day. But give me a landing spot for Dame Lillard to spend his twilight golden years, being 35, going to be 36 probably when he comes back. So give me a spot where Dame Lillard fits and can use his services.
Well, I narrowed it down to 3. My first one would have to be the Lakers.
Really?
I really think that this is after, I would probably say after LeBron or whatever they do with LeBron, if they figure something out, he could go to the Lakers probably in the next year. Probably in the next year. Once they figure that out. That's a reach. But if we're talking reality, the Warriors is probably the best place for him to go to be the Warriors.
Oh, interesting.
I think it would be good to have another another guy like Dame would probably come off the bench. It's still Steph Curry's squad. It still is.
Right.
With the way that the league is right now, Steph Curry might not have to really retire until he's about 40. So it's a possibility that he could still go for another few years. And Dame could help with that because Dame still got the three. Dame can still shoot it. He can still go. So I would say there also to give me the Boston Celtics.
Boston? Really?
Give me the Celtics.
The Celtics?
He would be a serviceable player off the bench. I think Dame is at a point in his life where he might be coming off the bench. I don't see him really starting.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that because I love Dame Dollar. I love Dame. Hopefully Dame come out with another album while he's sitting. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? I mean, I'll be cool with that. But as far as now, and I'll shout out my man Desmond Johnson from Tobacco Road. He talked about, once these point guards start having trouble with their feet and trouble with their ankles, that signals despair. That signals beware. Because, they're running out of time because of the motion, how they're going to be running the whole time.
Yep.
It's tough, being a guy who is in motion a lot. Now, your front court, your centers might not be at a big disadvantage when that happens. But yet and still, if you're a point guard and you're still going as far as you are with the mileage that you got on your feet, I mean, good luck playing 82 games. I doubt that's going to happen. And I think Dame, honestly, is at a point in his life where he may not be starting more. He may not be starting. I mean, shout out to Chris Paul for the time that he's had. His time is coming up as well, too.
Yeah.
But with Dame, I think Dame will probably end up either going. I think Golden State's the best place to go. But don't rule out the Lakers and don't rule out the Celtics. They may do it.
The Lakers and the Celtics.
They just might. Seriously, they just might. Who knows?
I like Golden State because, of course, you got some shooters out there, and I think you're correct. I think that once he gets back, he's going to be a bench guy. Oh. I don't think he's coming. I don't think he's a starter again. But you look at like Chris Paul, you look at Russell Westbrook, these older guys that have some mileage on them. They come off the bench, but I also like them as mentors. You look at that's why I hope Chris Paul stays in San Antonio because I would love to see Harper learn from one of the best, and I think that would be phenomenal. But for me, if I'm thinking of Dame Lillard, you've already had a great career. I mean, you don't want to chase a ring and do all this other stuff to kind of ruin, Dame time and what you've had. I see him going back to Portland. I think he loves Portland so much. He loves that city. You talk about a fan base that really needs something right now because them Portland Trailblazers, they got rid of, Ayton because he didn't work there. Portland, that team looks terrible. Like that organization is just struggling. So you talk about a fan base that really is starved for something to cheer about. You put Dame Dollar back in Portland, in a Portland Trailblazers uniform. I think that would get that city excited. And I think that would help Dame too, because you talk about recovering from an Achilles injury. You're going to go somewhere that you're going to go somewhere you're comfortable. You're going to go somewhere you've lived and still live. And you're not going to have to learn anything new. You're not going to have to learn the environments. You go to LA or Boston, you got to learn an environment. But don't be surprised to see Dame Dollar, who loves the city of Portland. You had to rip the city out of his cold, dead hands. He could have left years ago, but he was so brutally loyal to that area. A year from now, Dame Dollar will be a Portland Trailblazer. Watch.
The more you kill me, man, sometimes because you reach into my soul and you pull on my heartstrings. You do, and you did that with Paige Becker when we were on the last time when we talked about the WBA, and you're absolutely correct. By the way, you're not wrong about that. You were definitely right on that. But you dig into my heart. And the more you said about it, you're right. I really think you're right because I think
I'm playing the harp strings for you here, man. I'm playing the harp strings
for real,
for
you did. But I think Dame found out that the grass ain't always greener on the other side. I think
especially
he
Milwaukee Green wasn't as good.
Right. And you know, I mean, when him and Giannis were on the court together now, they were the high scoring duo. Him and Giannis, those two, they were a duo. They had it done, but it's when they played together. It's not when, it's if.
It was 2 years too late. It needed to be earlier. Dame played 2 years too late. He needed to leave Portland if he was going to leave. 5 years ago, he shouldn't have waited till he was 30, 34 or 35 to get traded. And again, it's a breath of fresh air to see an athlete love a city.
Yes.
Especially, again, we just talked about guys trading jerseys like they changed their underwear. So, to see someone like him, to see someone like Giannis, and that's why you kind of really haven't heard any grumblings yet. I think he really loves Milwaukee. He loves the people. He loves the area. He loves the team and the organization. I mean, it is so hard to find that nowadays because there is no loyalty in sports. I get it. It's a business. You can't because it blinds you from making the right decisions. And, Dame, I'm glad you were blinded and that you love your city. You went and checked it out. Unfortunately, things did not end well. You had a Ken Griffey Jr. moment there, like when he left Seattle and went to the Reds and then got hurt, and it affected the whole rest of his career. I think you need to just take a step back, go to Portland, get that city that loves you and is going to embrace you. So that's what I'm thinking, and I appreciate you saying that, man. But sometimes you got to follow what's in here, not what's in here. So because when you make $113 million by sitting on your butt recovering, you're doing okay. So right now, Dame don't need the money. He's doing good. But let's take a little bit more of a relax here, a little stretch. We got to get up in the layup line. So we jumping in here. I'm going to throw some stuff at you here. I need you to give me some quick answers here. DeAndre Ayton, released by the Portland Trail Blazers. We just talked about them. Now playing with the Los Angeles Lakers, who were dying. I mean, essentially, they knew he was going to go to L.A. I mean, L.A. needed a big man so bad, and they missed out on a bunch of other big men. I literally think they just, as soon as the Blazers released him, I think like the Lakers shot the plane to Portland and landed and say, "Dude, don't just come to L.A. We'll sign you, whatever. We need you." We'll see what he does. He didn't have a great showing in Portland, but that was a bad organization. Towards the end, he did do okay in Phoenix, but again, that organization, questionable. But is Los Angeles really a preferred destination, or are people afraid to go to LA and team up with Luka? Because you don't see a lot of people demanding to go there, and you haven't seen a lot of free agents flocking there. So what are your thoughts on Lakers maybe just not being a preferred destination?
I understand why they aren't, because at the end of the day, as long as a certain number 23 is wearing that jersey there, and I'm not going to say who, there's going to be levels. There's going to be expectations of you as a player. You may not be able to be yourself in LA. You will have to adhere to Mr. James or don't. And I think, and that's not a bad thing per se. It sounds bad, especially if you're a player that is boisterous or is a player that's been doing it on their own. And then you go to LA and then there's LeBron James right there. And it's kind of like, okay, I get this is your team and all, but he's going to look at you and say, we don't do that here. We do this here. We don't do that here. But but when it comes down to that, I still say if you want to win, or if you want to carve out legacy, it's all about either carving out legacy or winning. You got to make that choice because you can't do both. There are players that are generational and can do both, and that's who they build the team around. But if you're just an added-on piece, or you come over there, you know you're gonna have to kiss the rings, if you will.
Right.
So I think that might be something that tells guys, hey, I don't want to go there. And as you can see, it's not really benefited LA any, because what have they won lately? They haven't. I mean, 2020 they won that bubble championship, and
the bubble chip.
And despite what everybody says, no one was prepared for COVID.
Right.
Nobody was.
Nope.
So of course, if you win something there, okay, I understand why people would say it doesn't count. I get it. In the records, it counts, yeah. But
Alex Caruso said it doesn't count. He won with the Lakers. That was during his little speech at the end there.
If you're a true competitor, you don't count that. If you're somebody who's like chasing clout, maybe, then you will. But if you're a true competitor, we didn't play a full 82-game season, and we played in a bubble, and we didn't play with everybody.
Right.
Reset it. We're done.
Wow.
And so I get that. But so, yeah, it's only natural that you, and then raising that banner on top of that too, and fans sitting here like, and you're used to winning championships. A Lakers squad, a Lakers squad that's used to winning titles.
Right.
Used to winning. You've got Kobe and Wilt and Kareem and Magic. Those guys right there in your legacy. If you were a smaller squad that never won a title, okay, cool. But with that squad, one of your blue bloods,
right?
That ain't our title right there. No thanks. But I think with the people and the personalities and the boisterous personalities that they have in LA, you either gotta make a legacy or win, and it just depends on what you want to do. But if you go there, there's rules.
So you're saying after 23 leaves, that door that opens is going to be a little easier to walk through compared to walking in there now? Absolutely.
I mean, think about it though. When Magic left, and, Magic retired, under the circumstances and everything, and the Lakers kind of had their dry spell.
Right.
Was it easier to walk in the door than to walk in there when Kobe Bryant was there?
Right. Yeah, and I could see that, and I appreciate that. Yeah, that's something to think about, and that's interesting to think about, because you would think that people would want to flock to play with Luka and flock to play with LeBron, but people are kind of a little hesitant about that, and it's interesting.
That's where you kind of got to look at it. And I hate once again, I know the Gen Zs are going to get me for this right here. This is the difference between Kobe. Don't get
me canceled, man. Don't get me canceled.
Right, I know, and I'm sorry. They can get me. They cannot watch.
No, it's all good. It's all good. We got
it. But that's your difference between playing with the Jordan and playing with the LeBron. Now, Mike scared the crap out of everyone, and everybody thought Mike was nuts, which he was with his training. He was nuts. But see, LeBron is the same way with with the money he puts into his body, his regimen, all that other stuff. It is insane. But when you look at the carousel of coaches that the man had, when you look at the drought of not winning a title that the man had, that's where people like you and me come in and say, hey, this is why we look at Jordan as Jordan is the man.
Right.
You respected Mike at the end of the day. You might have liked LeBron. You might like the dude. The dude is likable. I get it. But when you're playing with the guy, you might be like, oh my gosh, man. I mean, I like you and all, dog, but what are we gonna do? Mike was one of those type of people right there. He ate you up, and then later on he was cool with you afterwards. I mean, I think it's like and respect. Like and respect are two very different things.
Oh,
you may like LeBron, but do they respect him? No. But interesting. You didn't like Mike. You didn't like that dude. You didn't like him. But you respect him at the end of the day because of what it was that he done. And that's no disrespect to LeBron. It's just difference of generation and matter of taste.
Right.
LeBron is still a great ball player. LeBron can win. He can win, but it's consistently win is what we're looking for. We're not looking for almost. We're not looking for you played for this long and it was due to you. We're looking for, are you going to grab it now or are you not?
That's interesting. Yeah, the only thing I'm going to throw in there real quick just to add is, for me personally, Jordan put the fear of God in you. LeBron doesn't. LeBron doesn't. You know, but again, get off my lawn. This is a different. We are different, cut from a different cloth here. So, all right, let's jump back into the layup line here. We're hearing again more rumors. I haven't seen anything official yet, but it looks like the Suns are trying to buy Bradley Beal out because they can't find a trade suitor for him because no one wants to pay his contract. So the Suns, it looks like they're going to do this stretch provision that's out there right now where you can stretch a player's contract for over 5 years. So it looks like he's got about $90 million left over the next 5 years. If they buy him out, I think Beal has to give back about $13.8 million. So because he's got a couple years left on his contract. So a lot of these teams literally throwing money out the window. But again, Bradley Beal gets his release. He's a free agent. Is this another Lakers incoming? Or can you see Bradley Beal being a piece on another team?
I believe he'll be a piece. I believe he will be. I don't think as far as franchise, I think that Phoenix Suns, that whole experiment with Booker and Durant and Beal, once again, shout out to Dez. He put this analogy great. See, Phoenix tried that microwave popcorn thing where they can get it instantly and get it now, put it in there for 5 minutes, and you quit the popping, you're good.
Right.
They didn't want to do the slow build. They didn't want to just put, hey, we're going to draft this guy, we're going to draft this guy, we're going to draft this guy, we're going to try to build a squad, we're going to build a core group. They didn't. They purchased it, and look what happened. It threw them back almost 6 years. They were going to get a first-round pick in 2031 if they didn't do the whole thing with KD, and now they're doing the thing with Bill. I think Bill is still serviceable. I still think he is. I think he got lost in that whole Booker Durant thing. He got lost. And plus injury got a hold of him too. I think he's a serviceable player, but as far as someone you build your franchise around like he did when he was with the team before, I don't think so.
Right. Yeah. I think a lot of it is true colors. You know, you see a decent player play on a really bad team, they look better than they did. I mean, when Beal was on the Wizards, who were a really bad organization, really bad team, he looked like a stud. And then all of a sudden you put him with some talent, and it shows really what kind of player he really was. So yeah, he's definitely going to have to be that 6th, 7th man. I don't see him even as a starter. I think some team that's going to sign him better get him on the cheap, because you don't know which Beal you're going to get. You're either going to get maybe the Wizards Beal, or you're going to get the Suns Beal. Who are you going to get? So,
but do you think it's because he's had to do it by himself for a while? When you put him with the squad, like what they try to do in Phoenix, and you know he doesn't have to do it by himself. Do you think that might have played into a factor?
Yes and no. Look, these guys are professionals. There's not a lot of players in an NBA team, so you get a bad team. So sometimes you do have to carry a squad by yourself. You do have to do other things. But you looked at who he played with. He played with Booker. He played with Ayton. He played with Kevin Durant. So you're talking about guys that have been there before. So I think they should have helped him become even better. But you look at those guys. Kevin Durant is not known for being a role model and being that guy to kind of mentor you. He's kind of an Aaron Rodgers. Like, you could play with me, or you're going to sit on the bench behind me. So I don't know. I think a lot of it is going to really depend on where he lands, if he gets out of Phoenix, and how well he does playing his role. Because I think he's going to have a role. He's not going to be a starter. He's not going to get paid $50 million or $40 million a year. He's going to have to take some minimums, especially this late in the game, this late in the signing season. He's going to have to take some league minimums here. So, yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of it is going to depend on where he lands next and what he does. That's going to really tell how committed he is to the game of basketball and what kind of player he truly is. So,
I agree.
Man, a lot of free agent frenzy going on here. And then just dropping yesterday, I got to throw this out there. It looks like, and I got to read this because we had our first ever 7-team trade. So it looks like this Kevin Durant trade will not die. It is just being added on to. They're all piggybacking on it. So we talked about this here before. So Phoenix is getting Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, Kaman Malik, Rasheer Fleming, Kobe Bria, Daquan Plowder, and a second-round pick. Houston gets Kevin Durant and Clint Capella.
Mm-hmm.
Brooklyn gets 2 second rounds. The Golden State Warriors get Alex Tooney, Jamal Meshach. Atlanta gets a second swap, David Roddy, and some cash, because, who doesn't like getting cash? The Los Angeles Lakers get Adu Thero. And Minnesota gets Rocco Zaransky, 2 second rounds, and again, some cash. So it looks like that somebody really wanted to do a 7-trade team. So they said, well, that Durant trade is still open. So we're going to jump on there and we're going to make it I don't even know. That's like the flea market of trades here because there's just stuff on there I ain't never seen, never heard of before. That's like 8th Avenue bootleg trade right there because you're just guys in there you just ain't never heard of.
It's that swap meet right there.
But with this free agent frenzy, with all these trades, with all these rumors, is there a diamond in the rough left? There, we're kind of thinning out right now. Is there somebody or some move out there that you haven't seen yet that we're missing? Give me a diamond here to kind of look for in the next couple of weeks here.
I think that whoever throws the right deal for Josh Giddey, I think will be fine. He's a restricted free agent with my Chicago Bulls. I really think they're going to just burn it down. Alonzo's gone to Cleveland. I think, and of course they traded Levine and all that. So they're just going to burn it down and start from scratch. And I think whoever can get the right numbers for Josh Giddey, I think will benefit well. I know that Chris Paul is still out there, but I think he's going back to San Antonio.
I hope so.
I think he is. The verdict's out with Russ. He's unrestricted. I think he's unrestricted. No.
He's unrestricted.
Yeah, he's unrestricted. That's right.
Yeah.
So Russ is still out there. I think Al Horford's going to Golden State. I really think he is.
Yeah.
But I would say whoever throws the right thing to Josh Giddey, whoever can get him from Chicago, I think would be well. But Chicago's going to have to really, really pull him back, and I doubt it. So I think whoever can get Josh Giddey will be fine.
I like that. That's a good move. I mean, there was about a week stretch there where Josh Giddey was just on fire for Chicago. And again, it is unfortunate that after Derrick Rose, the Chicago Bulls essentially have become NBA fodder, which it's horrible to think of that. Such a great franchise. Even as a Knicks fan, who I hate Chicago, they're up there with my level of hate. So, but as an NBA fan, to see Chicago, to see Portland, to see Washington, some of these teams, you see Charlotte, New Orleans, to see some of these teams just floundering and really just being a complete catastrophe is disappointing. So I'm hoping those organizations step it up here. I definitely like that. But the other thing I want to get into here, we're going to do a half-court heave. I got something new here I want to throw out there. So we're going to throw from mid-court here. It looks like the Summer League is testing a new rule. And I want to see what you think about this rule and give me your thoughts. What they're attempting is that the end of the quarter, if you do a half-court heave, at the buzzer, whoever throws it, it doesn't count against your stats. So if you're 10 for 10 and you do a half court heave and you miss it, you're still 10 for 10. It just counts as a team miss, not a player miss. I know there's some certain stipulations and it has to be end of the quarter and there has to be a few things, but what are your thoughts on this? And do you think something like that can translate into the regular season?
I understand the move. I understand it. It's not anything that's like you can't comprehend why you wouldn't do it. I understand it. And I think it could work. Considering that, even like, you're just throwing a heave up, winging a prayer, you know, it's not something that's drawn up. It's not something that's like, oh, well, get him here, get him here, get him here, move him here, take the shot. No. It's just one of those. You pass it inbound, you got to throw it. And if you miss, okay. It's not going to ruin your percentage. It's not, because, you got volume shooters out there. You've got guys in there that, with the impeccable range now in the NBA, the way it's been, you're going to get plenty of guys taking shots from everywhere. But this one right here is just a shot that's been around forever. Everybody's done it at one point in time, more than likely. So it's a low percentage shot, or it's supposed to be.
Right.
So I don't see why not. I don't see any harm. No harm.
And to me, I was just looking at that, and it's interesting. Guys practice these weird shots. Again, the Steph Curry effect. I know we've talked about this before, where guys taking 3-point shots from the parking lot or whatever. Well, is it only at half court, or like if you're, 3/4 court, like if you're just above half court, does it not count? Like where's the, I guess half court would be the line. And if you make it, do you not get the points? So if it doesn't count, if it doesn't count for your miss, it shouldn't count for your make either. So if you close your eyes and throw it from, it's a team make, the team gets the points, but you don't get the 3 points. So I'm curious where this is going. And I wonder if this can translate into other sports. You look at the NFL. I wonder if the Hail Mary. I wonder if they can, you got a quarterback that's 12 for 12 or 15 for 15, and he goes back there and chucks one up. It doesn't count. So it was just curious. It's one of those ones that you kind of like, okay, I understand why they're thinking that, but it's like, why? It's just a shot. It's one shot. How many, buzzer quarter beaters, half court do you really get? You may get maybe one a game or one every couple of games. It's an interesting rule change and a test there in the summer league. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if it makes it to the regular season, but why? Like, I don't, you don't want to hurt 3-point shooters percentage. You don't want to hurt these guys percentage. So if you don't want to hurt your percentage, then don't take the shot.
Right.
But anyway, man, that's some good stuff, bud. I appreciate you being here, Mr. Smith. Talked about a lot today, guys. Again, if you get a second here, jump on the Boom Broadcasting Network, like and subscribe. You can check me out, 3 from Deep. Shannon, I'm going to pass it over to you. I'm just going to no look past you to rock here. So let the people know where else they can find you, not only here on Boom, but I know you're doing some other stuff on some other channels too. So let the people know what they can expect from Mr. Smith here coming up.
You can catch me here in the next couple of days, like on Tuesday. I'll be dropping quick hits. I'll be talking about some sports, doing my fan of sport, being like as he was. I appreciate that intro, man. I really do appreciate that. On my Tuesdays is Fan of Sport Tuesday. I'll be talking about Max Verstappen here. Is he really thinking about leaving Red Bull? Is that going to happen? I found a sport on a random Saturday while getting this podcast ready. I found a sport on TV and I want to talk about it and see if this sport being remade and done over, is it going to affect the sport that it emulated? I'm going to be talking about that a little more personal aspect into being a fan of sport on this episode on Tuesday. And then on Friday, I've got the WNBA on tap. We've got reserves for the WNBA All-Star team. I'm going to be talking about that, catch up with the scores, power rankings, all of that. And also, too, outside of here, on Wednesday, I will be doing the Cat Cave, which is my Carolina Panthers podcast that I do on Tobacco Sports Radio, getting ready for the season. We're in a slow period with the football, so we've been talking about the Hornets, we've been talking about the Hurricanes acquisitions, but we've also been talking about what the Panthers have been doing on their YouTube channel, what they've been doing with their drafts, OTAs, things of that nature. We're talking about that on Wednesday evenings. We've been doing the show live as of right now. It may change throughout the season, but we will be doing that. That is what I've got going on. And as always, I'm Shannon Smith, and this is Quick Hits.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for jumping on jumping on here with me today, man. I can't even talk. So excited. So it was been a great show, man. Great show, great time. And I know we will catch up again, man. So I will check you later. Thank you very much, Mr. Shannon.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me.
All right. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me on this Monday. I appreciate y'all for being here. Again, my heart goes out to those in Texas, guys. Please, if there's any way you can help, jump in and find a way to help. But man, I appreciate you. This is Jason Calenzo. This is 3 from Deep. I appreciate you being here, and I will see you next week. Let's see if we get some more NBA hot stove action going here. Peace.